Hi everybody, this is the review for Divergent by Veronica Roth, and it is for chapters 6 through 12. So far we've had the basics of the world, and Beatrix was having her initiation ceremony and had to choose a faction to be part of. So she picks Dauntless, who they value courage, and basically when she's leaving the ceremony she sees that her mother seems happy but her father is upset, and that upsets her a little bit, but she's made a decision and she can't turn back on it now. So they find out the first challenge is getting on the train. Luckily she's seen that done many times before, and so she runs on the train and succeeds in getting on. Some aren't so lucky, and one guy actually fails to get on, so that he's failed the first part and he is now factionless. When they actually come to jumping off the train, one actually dies. She jumps off and she tries to jump off the train and onto the roof and falls to her death, which is just awful. She meets a girl from Candor who's also a transfer, and basically they hold hands to jump to give each other courage. After they've finally done that, it doesn't end there. They're challenged by one of the leaders, who's called Four, to jump from a ledge into the unknown. They can't see what's at the bottom. And he challenges someone to go first, and basically Beatrix decides, yep, that's going to be me. He wouldn't let me do something that would kill me, so I might as well get it over and done with. When she hits the bottom, she's caught in a net, and she is surprised when people say she's a stiff, that they never ever have jumped first. So already you know that she's going to be a little bit different. The second one of all come down is Christina, who was her friend on the train who jumped with her. So I think they could become good friends. In chapter 7, Beatrix decides that her new name will be Tris. I have to say I like that a little bit more than Beatrice. She's given a tour of the compound by Four, and he's quite firm at this point and not as nice as he seemed on the roof. So basically she thinks he's tougher than he looks, and she's going to try and keep under his radar a bit. She learns that Four is also a transfer just like herself, and that he graduated the top in his class. She meets Eric, who is a Dauntless leader despite his young age. He's very young, but apparently in Dauntless, age doesn't mean anything, and it's how tough you are. Eric says that they will be doing their training, and this worries and confuses Tris, because she can't understand why someone so important would do a training and things like that of the younger ones. And she also learns that out of the 12 transfers, only 9 made it to the actual, from the ceremony to the actual dormitory themselves, which is so they've lost 3, either through death or through not making it as far, not getting on the train. And they also find out that there's 20 candidates overall to become a member of Dauntless, and it is not actually as they thought that they would. If they passed the initiation, they would be in straight away, and it's not actually the case. Even though there's 20 of them, including the ones that were born into that house, only 9 will actually make the final cut. So that means 11 will therefore be factionless at the end. Tris sleeps in a dorm now, and she's missing home. She's missing her quiet home, and she cries herself to sleep, as does Al, the big tough guy next to her. And she can't bring herself to help him, even though that's what she was raised to do. She just can't bring herself to do it. In chapter 8, Tris learns how to fire a gun. She's never fired a gun before. Her parents would be absolutely disgraced by it, but she fires it, and she actually manages to hit the target in the end. And she also learns how to punch and kick and fight and things like that. She goes to get a different outfit with Christina for the first time, and she gets a long black dress and wears her hair down. It's more tight-fitting than she's used to, and it's the first nice sort of outfit that she's ever had for herself. And we learn that they don't use money, but everyone's allotted a certain amount of tokens, that they can use each month, and her dresses cost 1 token. Triz's friend Al gets a tattoo. He decides he's the one that's crying, and he decides he needs a tattoo to feel more like Dauntless and to end his sort of connection to his family. And when she's there, she meets Tori, who was actually the lady who did her testing initially. And she tries to get her to explain what Divergence is, but she won't say. And in the end, instead, Trish decides to get her own tattoo of 3 birds going towards a heart to represent 3 members of her family that she's basically left behind. In chapter 9 is the next day of the training, and it involves fighting with each other. Will fights Al, and Will ends up passing out after Al hits him. The leader Eric states that the fight could only end when one party is unable to continue. Four disagrees with this, and they have a little bit of an argument almost, but Four is not powerful enough to have his wishes followed, so basically it has to be the way Eric wants it. Christina's against Molly, who's a lot bigger and stronger than her, and basically she fights, she's covered in blood and she can barely go on, and she says, not word for word, but she says she quits basically. And Eric drags her to the waterfall that we met in the earlier chapters, and he makes her hang on for 5 minutes, and if she drops she will die. That was made clear in the earlier chapters. But basically if she drops, that's what will happen, she'll die. And he doesn't seem to care. He almost enjoys the fact that she could die, and I think he's a very evil character. And she does it with the help of both Al and Tris supporting it and saying you've only got a minute left and things like that. But when the 5 minutes is up, he says, oh no, she's got to drag herself out himself, and Al doesn't. He's like, no, I'll pick her out myself. You never said that. You just said that she had to hold on for 5 minutes, which was good. I'm so glad they did that, because I don't think she could have physically pulled herself out on her own. Chapter 10, Peter sprays stiff all over Tris's bed, and in class she's assigned to fight him. Even though she was angry initially, she's been paired with him, and it's completely unfair. And I think Four disagrees with the pairing. He walks away during the fight, and I think it's because he just knows it's not a fair fight, and he just can't watch. Personally, that's what I came away with. And she wakes up in the hospital ward after she fought and did not want to give up, and she didn't give up really until she did physically pass out. And it shows how much strength she has, because she refuses. He's knocked her out, but she refuses to spend a full night in the hospital. And I actually think that shows a lot of inner strength on her part. In chapter 11, Triz has nightmares about Peter being Divergent, and when she wakes up, it's time to go to it's time for them to go fence and find out what jobs the actual different factions have. She's still really hurt from her fight, and so she finds it hard to try and get on the train, but obviously not getting on the train isn't an option because she'd fail. And thankfully Al helped to pick her on to the train, but Peter saw, and she didn't like that at all. Once out of the fence, Triz notices that there's a lock on the outside of the gate instead of the inside, and it's almost like the Dauntless are locking the other people in and not protecting them from something on the outside, which she thinks is quite odd. And she sees Robert, who was her friend from her old faction, and he hugs her and he seems so happy, and he's shocked by her appearance and how bruised she is. And she wonders if anyone has actually stayed in their original faction, in her old faction, because there was only that I think there was only the 4 of them, and her and her brother have left. He has left, and now I think there was their sister that she was wondering, have they all gone, and blames herself in a way if they have. Four isn't happy that she's talked to someone from another faction, because that's not allowed by their society, their culture. It's sort of frowned upon. But he is still supportive, and he seems still nice to her, and he says that she could win a fight if she attacked first. Let's have a look. Chapter 12. 2 days after the fight, she's still bruised and in pain, but she won a fight against Myra, although it doesn't please her because Myra was weak and she doesn't feel it was a proper victory. Everyone is woken up during the night by Eric and the other Dauntless, and basically they're told they have to catch the train and they're going to play capture the flag. And Eric and 4 are the team captains. Trish expects to be picked last, but she isn't actually picked last. She's picked first by 4. Oh, just get my paper which I left over there. While everyone is fighting about where to hide the flag and how to hide it from the other team and find their team's flag, Christina decides to look for the highest point that she can find and see if she can see them from up there. So she climbs the Ferris wheel, and 4 goes with her, and he insists. And he asks her why she thinks they are doing the game, and she explains some questions. Some he agrees with, and some he's not really bothered about. His answers to her questions make him sound disillusioned by Dauntless, like it's changed recently, and I think that may be because Eric's come into power, but I'm not sure. But he doesn't seem like he wholly supports the Dauntless at the moment. And he admits that he's actually afraid of heights, but chooses to ignore it. Triss almost falls off the scaffolding of the Ferris wheel, and he saves her. 4 saves her by turning the Ferris wheel on and helping her down, and he seems genuinely concerned that she's alright. Triss comes up with a plan to capture the flag, even though she's a stiff and shouldn't know these things. She actually comes up with it, and they win the flag through her plan. Christina actually grabs hold of the flag, and she has a strange look, and it makes me feel that as much as she's her friend at the moment, Christina will, if she needs to, leave Triss and just look after herself, which I suppose is the whole point of the Dauntless culture and society. The 4 congratulates, while everybody else is celebrating, 4 congratulates her, congratulates Trez, and I just think it's Triss, and I think it's just nice. He seems like he has an interest there, whereas she definitely does. Whereas he's a bit more guarded with his feelings, but I think there's definitely some sort of interest there, but I'm not sure exactly how, but only time will tell. So I've really enjoyed it so far. I'm really interested to see where the relationship with 4 takes it, and I just absolutely love the whole idea of the fractions and things. I think it's a bit, one plan is a bit unfair, and that I hate the fact that only so, I think they've chosen it, and if they get through the initiation, they should all be allowed to join. And I also think the fact that some of them died in the process of trying to get there, and the one that failed to get on the train couldn't go and continue on his training, I just think that's awful. But it'd be interesting to see what you think, if you think that works, if you think it's a good way for society to run in, that sort of thing. After all, it's courage, it's they want the survival of the fittest to protect, so is that a good thing? So let me know what you think. I hope you're enjoying it so far. We're absolutely loving it. We will do the next video, will be Amanda, and that will be on Friday. So I hope you're enjoying it so far. We will put the competition winners up probably the beginning of next week. The reason it hasn't gone up sooner is because I have to post them out to whoever wins, and my pay date isn't until Friday. And I've had no money to do it until then, so because obviously it could go anywhere in the world. So please be patient on that. We haven't forgotten, and the books will go out one day next week, but we'll do a video announcing the winners and have them contact with their details. So thank you very much, and I hope you're enjoying the book so far. Bye.